Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey, coaches, formators, and mentors, ever feel like you are giving some real pearls of wisdom to the people that you're forming or your clients that you're coaching or mentees that you're mentoring, and it's just kind of falling flat? Well, it may be great advice, but it may not just be considerate of their temperament, how they receive information. We're going to be talking about this in a new series coming up, starting with the Choleric, and how to best coach people based on their temperament.
Yeah. So join us if you want to get some do's and don'ts of how to coach your choleric clients.
Cool. See you in there.
Hi, guys.
Hey, welcome back to the Catholic Coaching Podcast. My name is Matt.
And I'm Erin.
And we are your Catholic coaches for the day. We're speaking to what?
Hold on. I want to say one more thing. We are your Catholic coach trainers for today.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Catholic coaches, mentors, and formators, pay attention here. Have you ever been talking to somebody? Maybe you're coaching somebody. Maybe you're mentoring somebody. Maybe you're in ministry and you're working with a teen or direct relationship with somebody else, pastoral care, and you're sharing stuff that's just really good information and it's just falling flat. You're wondering if it's even landing, or the person's just kind of looking back at you cross-eyed. Certainly have had those experiences. And maybe it's not necessarily that you're not giving them the great information. Maybe the problem is with how you are sharing it, and it has more to do with them than to do with you. Okay.
Yes.
And so we're going to get into temperaments, being attentive to temperaments as we are coaching and mentoring other people. What's up, Erin?
Yeah, no. So this is a series. So we are starting a series called Coaching in Your Temperaments series. And we're going to be discussing your temperament as a coach. We're going to be discussing your clients' temperaments, which change and alter, and really just emphasizing what Matt just shared, talking about, okay, when does it fall flat? Well, maybe you are speaking in your own language to somebody who would be a similar temperament as yours, and they would be like, yes, and responding. But in the case where you actually have conflicting temperaments, we want to give you new language and new strategies of how to deal with that. We were thinking about what our next series needs to be. And I love this series because it's like a blend of my two favorite things. And ultimately, guys, at the end of the day, we coach coaches and we train coaches. And so that is where our heart is. And so we're speaking to you coaches today. Obviously, if you're not a coach, but you're in some type of accompaniment role, this is going to be super helpful for you too. I remember seeing a quote by, what was it? Brother
Hermenegold. Yeah, it was in that book, A Catholic Take or Catholic Viewpoint on the Temperaments. He's a spiritual director, and he's speaking to spiritual directors and talking about the importance of knowing the temperament of your directees.
Yes, it is. And I was like, right on, brother, whatever your name is. Totally agree. In fact, this was actually one of the first classes that we created was how to coach people in their temperaments.
Well, you had kind of an aha moment with this, coaching somebody else and realizing that you're this person primarily choleric, not what your primary is. And you kind of had to adapt your approach.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Totally would coach a choleric
that.
Very differently than a phlegmatic, like night and day. So we're actually going to be talking today about the do's and don'ts of coaching a choleric. So come on down.
I'm curious. So Lisa was somebody that you're coaching.
Yes.
Lisa's a dear friend. Lisa's choleric.
Lisa
primarily.
Canning out there.
Shout out. And so this was kind of a pivotal moment when you were coaching Lisa.
Yes.
And realizing, oh, okay, I need to kind of temper my sanguine phlegmatic.
Yes.
Or,
I needed to kind of tap into more of a direct approach and kind of tap into that commander style coaching. Yeah. She appreciated it. So, and she could take it. And so that I think is really helpful to know. I'm also married to you, who you are a choleric. And whenever I'm coaching you, I find that I have a different style of coaching. So we're going to get into it today. But we're going to talk about do's and don'ts and actually make it super easy for you out there. Okay, guys, a couple of resources that we have actually, aligned with this, attached to this podcast series is our temperaments assessment. If you have clients and if you're curious about what their temperaments are, you can send them that. It is free, and just make sure that they send you their results so that you can actually coach accordingly. I think we could get right into it. Let's get right into it.
Okay. Yeah. And the goal here, folks, is think of this. When you know your client's temperaments, you can go deeper, faster, and more frequently with them. You can just get there faster. Okay. So think of this as a hack to really go to those deep places that we all like to be connecting with somebody as a coach to client. Okay. Erin, go into it.
You actually said that like a melancholic, believe it or not.
Deeper, faster, more frequently.
You're like, so we can go deeper on things. I'm mentioning that because it's like, cholerics just like to get stuff done.
Well, I think coaches just like to go deep.
That's
I think
true.
Like
Some
that's where
coaches
that's where the real transformation is.
All right, guys, let's get into it. So we are speaking from our own temperaments, and we are going to do the don'ts first. I'm going to say that again. So don't do these things when you're coaching a choleric. If you have a choleric sitting in front of you, number one, do not be indecisive or hesitant. It says I wrote, cholerics respect confidence. And that is true, Matt. I would love for you to give us feedback as a choleric client, as I read through these things. If you second guess yourself or seem unsure as a coach, they will quickly lose trust in your coaching and probably move to another coach who's probably choleric or has experience that they want to learn from.
Yeah. So as a choleric, I like to be led. Clerics are just natural leaders. And so but we're leaders that also want to be led by other people. And so if I'm investing in a coaching relationship, I'm doing it because this person knows how to get to a destination that I want to get to better than I know how to get there. And if I start to lose trust that maybe they don't know how to get there better than I do, it's like, what are we doing here?
Yes. Yeah. So my suggestion to this, if I hear somebody say that, like, I'm feeling hesitant, I'm feeling unsure, and I'm about ready to go into a coaching session with a client, I would just say to one of my coaches, I would say, here's the one thing that you are confident in your process. Okay. If you do not have a process as a coach, if you are coaching a choleric, you will be reminded of that and it will become discouraging for you. Like, you have to have a process that you go back to, that you've been trained in, and that actually creates confidence through that competency. And why I'm saying that is this is exactly what we train our coaches in, this process, a process that you can always go back to, because then it's not on you necessarily. It's, I know that this process works and I can always go back to this. So it's not like a personal attack on you in that sense.
Well, it's comforting to know that there's a process, but there's also comforting to know that there's a process for the entire journey that we're going on. And so,
yes,
like it's the mind management skills I know that we teach, and the reason cycle that we teach in our certification. That's helpful in helping me, the choleric, to pause and just kind of be a student of what's going on interiorly. But overall, like, I want a game plan. I want to know what the structure of the sessions are going to look like and things like that. We're getting into the do's. So, but like that's part of being led, is there's a format that's like, hey, I've done this before. Yeah. And this has worked for other people. It's going to work for you too.
That's right.
Okay.
Number 2, don't waste time on excessive emotional processing. While emotions matter, and they certainly do matter, cholerics prefer practical solutions, and practical solutions and actions over long discussions. They prefer these things over long discussions about feelings. Keep emotional discussions purposeful and tied to action. Okay. Yeah. That is another indicator. If you are being inefficient in your coaching, because this kind of breaks down 2 things. It's like being inefficient in your coaching. If you're being inefficient in your coaching, that is an indicator that you need to be trained. Lisa, the example that we just talked about, she went through her training, and she is choleric. And she said, my favorite thing about your training is I became so much more efficient as a coach. Which is a driver for cholerics. A lot of cholerics might think that emotional processing is a waste of time. That might be a preconceived notion. However, the way that we train our coaches is, and this is based off of our philosophy, which is based in Catholic teaching too, is that emotions act as emotional fuel. And actually, you can be strategic with emotions. So if you were to coach the choleric client in that particular way, like strategically, hey, we are going to focus on emotions, but it's only to enhance your action.
Yeah, it needs to be and when you read the kind of the definition and stuff before, I was just kind of like, I don't know. Like the emotional processing work has been something that's been helpful for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's actually it can be refreshing for a choleric to have somebody hold the space for their emotions, because I just don't think that they get a lot of that because they're so focused on doing, and it's definitely something that they need to be aware of. But when you frame it as this is going to lead to better outcomes in your actions and behaviors that are going to lead to more of the production, the achievement and the goals, like it really needs to be nested. So investing in a little bit of that upfront framing of the emotional processing makes all the difference.
Totally. And that's really what I was coming back to. It's like, there's a reason for this emotional processing. It's not an end in and of itself. There's a reason for it. So you have to clean up your interior life so that you can take more intentional actions towards this goal. It's a reframe right there. Okay. Number 3, another don't micromanage or over control. This might be to all the other choleric coaches out there. I don't struggle with this personally as a coach. I'm like, I know that my choleric clients are going to go get stuff done. Like, I know that I don't need to micromanage them or try to control them. It's just like, they're going to do it. So I do trust that. Your goal is to help them come up with a strategy and a framework and direction, but avoid that excessive oversight or rigid instructions.
Yeah, and here's where it's going to be attentive. Like cholerics are doers, but that doesn't mean that they're focused doers. So what I'm looking for as a choleric client when I go to a coach is somebody to give me focus. And so when I may need some accountability in staying focused on the things that we have determined together in our session that are priority, top priority, because a choleric is always going to be reprioritizing and wants to be the person that sets those priorities. And so the accountability is, I think it's something where it's best done consensually.
Yes.
So
it's almost like a coach would be like, hey, what do you want to be focusing on? Where do you want accountability in this process? Yeah. And then trusting that maybe the cleric knows the answer to that.
Yeah. And it's also like giving an expectation. So I'll be with a cleric client and just say, okay, so this is homework. And so when we sit down next time, this is the first thing I'm going to ask you when we come together again. We're going to start here. And so knowing that it's real and I'm going to be held accountable for it, I think that's okay. There's something that can be a little bit triggering with it, but it's kind of a good triggering. Like it's a responsibility. It's good discomfort that you're pushing them towards. There's a reason that they're coming to you as a coach is because they've grown comfortable doing things their own way, and that's not really working for them anymore.
Right. And it reminds them, like that little bit of discomfort reminds them of this investment and like, do I intentionally want to keep doing this investment or not? You know? So it opens up that conversation. Okay. Number 4, don't take their directness personally. Cholerics can be blunt and opinionated and push back. If they challenge you, it's not necessarily personal. In fact, I would say 90% of the time it is not personal. It's just the way that they are engaging and processing the information. They have to be convinced that it's going to work for them. And so that pushback is more of their discernment process, I believe. And I think that's actually a great reframe for somebody who may have taken things personal in the past.
Yeah, I can even think of 2 clients that I've had that are choleric or have a strong choleric secondary. And one of the I remember presenting what we're going to be going through. We were doing some strengths coaching, presenting what they were going through. And right out the gate, these 2 clients started to share their misgivings, their opinions on whether this is even a good use of their time and why they're doing this. And so that could have been something where I could have received that as like, oh man, like maybe there's something wrong, or maybe they're right. This isn't such good use of their time. And it's just like, no, this is like a great opportunity to kind of lean in. This is, if we can approach this, not as an assault on us as the coach, but rather they have some questions that really need to be addressed. And they're setting a priority to, I want to address these things so that we are making a good use of our time. That starts, even in those cases, I actually focused the entire first session for one of these people on just working through some of their objections to even showing up and getting coaching.
Yeah.
And by the end of that,
Which
they're
is so
very
valuable.
open to it. And so the follow-on sessions were a lot more fruitful.
Yes.
But when the objections show up, the objections are engagement. They are engaged.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And there may be a bit of, it may come in the form of like, may look like, what's the word? Like conflict.
Yeah.
It may even look
yep.
a little bit like
Mhm.
conflict.
Yeah. Aggressive.
But conflict is this kind of the dialect of the choleric.
That's right.
It's not like you said, it's not personal. It's just frank.
Yes.
And they want to just get straight into the point. And so it's great to just be able to do your mindset work ahead of time before you show up to these, and just reframe that so you can just receive it as like, okay, they're bringing up something that they want to talk about, and I can use that as just a stepping off point into the coaching session.
Yeah, exactly. There is a cognitive distortion called personalization, and it's when you take everything personally.
Interesting.
One of the lessons that we actually train our coaches in and are consistently bringing them back to is locus of control. Like, what is inside of your control and what is not, but also what is at the root of your client's actions. Are their thoughts, and we could even say, are their temperaments, their original disposition of how they go about doing these things.
Mm-hmm.
So that is within their control to change. It is not within our control to change. So us taking these things personally and blaming ourselves and taking that responsibility on is not helpful. It's not fruitful. Just know, like exactly what you said. Like if you walk away with anything, know that conflict to other temperaments, conflict, I'm putting air quotes, is the choleric's dialect.
Yes.
That is how they speak.
There was even a point in this particular session that I recall that where I recognized that we needed to work through the objections first. And this person even came back and was like, are we off track here? Do we need to get back on track? You know, again, like wanting to be efficient here.
Yeah.
And this was an opportunity for me to lead the client and be like,
yes,
this is priority, because if we don't deal with this, it doesn't matter what we do from here.
Yes.
It's not going to land.
Yes.
And the person was, okay, now I'm being led. And I knew to do that just because I was trained to do that. So anyways.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's so helpful. So that actually leads us into the fifth one, which is don't neglect the big picture.
Ooh, I like this.
So what you just did, that's a great example. It's like in the grand scheme of things, every form of effort that we put forward, if we do not tackle this obstacle right now, every form of effort that we put forward will be a waste.
Ooh, yikes.
Which is like very triggering. Any type of waste, time, energy, production is very triggering to a choleric. But this kind of brings us into that big picture thing. So cholerics are primarily vision driven and want to know how actions align with their long-term goals. So even just that question that client asks, are we staying on task? Like this is just an indicator that they're just choleric and wanting to stay on task and wanting to achieve this long-term goal of why you guys are meeting.
But also like, are you leading me? That's like the question behind it. Am I still being led? Or like, and so it's there's asking for clarification as to where we're going here as well. That happened in that question. Yep.
Right. Right here, we say that to avoid getting stuck in the minor details without connecting them to a larger purpose. So I just think that's super helpful. I love that example. And ask yourself this question as a coach: what is what we are doing right now? This is just like a great question to ask yourself constantly in a coaching call. What is what we are doing right now helpful to this bigger vision, to this bigger goal that we're working towards? If you cannot answer that, either shift focus and go back to that, primary goal and work on that, or articulate why that is actually helpful and where you're at right now.
Yep.
And that's it, actually. So that's it for the don'ts. Okay. And guys, all of this stuff we are actually going to be talking about this. I'm really excited to say this actually right now. We are incorporating temperaments into every single one of our coach trainings. We got a couple new things coming out If you want to learn about it, we have a Catholic coaching masterclass coming. We're going to be working with everybody like every day. About an hour and a half. We're going to be teaching you all tools to elevate your accompaniment skills, your coaching skills. It is going to be from April.
It's April 28th to May 2nd. All right. So it's 2025.
Yep.
And really, there's going to be a big focus on accompanying people to discovering identity and mission. Right. One of the big problems that we're seeing in the
Through
church
temperaments
is just people, not just in the church, but even amongst men predominantly. There's this, I was talking to somebody yesterday. There's this priest that I met out in LA. He was just saying the men just have such a lack of purpose. And we know that purpose and mission comes from first discovering who we are. Yes. And so we're going to be doing a lot of the work with Temperaments because we find it's an amazing resource for mining into that identity in Christ. And once you start to name and claim that identity in Christ, it's a real easy, simple transition over into what's the purpose behind this amazing identity. How's God calling me to be on mission? But
we will be giving you skills and tools and resources for you to use and go out and use right after you go through this masterclass. I'm super excited. The masterclass, this is like my favorite detail, is only $25. That's it. 5 days of an hour and a half long. How many hours is that? Hour and a half for 5 days? 7.5 hours of us teaching you and coaching you and training you. I'm very excited.
It's an immersive experience. And if you can't make it live, you'll get the replays for that. So just go to CatholicCoaching.com. We'll have it up top in the top header bar where you can just click on that top header bar and you can actually sign up right there. Or you can check out the show notes. We'll have a direct link in there for you to sign up and catch that. Awesome. Okay.
Yes, let's get back to this.
Let's do the do's.
The do's. What do we do for coaching a choleric? All right, number one.
I have a feeling these are going to be like the opposite of the don'ts.
Totally.
Is that kind of how they go?
And it's kind of like we already spoke to a lot of these things, but like maybe we can just add a little bit more.
Let's be on the nose with them. Okay. What's do one?
Number one is be direct and efficient. Okay. Very similar to the things that we've already been talking about. Yep. But we, cholerics, I say cholerics appreciate coaches who get to the point quickly. If you are a slow talker, just get to the point quicker. You don't have to have a lot of like fluff words, Avoid excessive small talk and instead focus on actionable insights and clear strategies. A great question to ask a choleric at the beginning of a session is sorry, I don't even have it written. For some reason, it just lost. All right, so let's see. What are we focused on today? That's it. What are we going to be focused on today? What do you want to be focused on today?
At the moment, Erin, not being choleric, writing the script for our podcast here today was not focused on finishing that question. But I'm glad you can just draw from the bank of coaching.
It is right here. It's already written right here. It is. I just missed it. It's not in quotes. And normally I have like questions in quotes. Okay, so here's the question. Last time we focused on this specific goal and we did this specific thing. Can we focus on that again unless you have some other focus in mind? And notice how often I use the word focus because I love focus, but also you're bringing them into the discussion. And this kind of counters that whole micromanaging and trying to control everything. It's just being like, what did we learn over the week? And do you want to keep focusing on this?
Yeah. And so if you're one of those coaches that really likes to be like, you know what, I just like to deal with whatever's coming up for the day with that person. I want to push back and challenge you a little bit here because the nature of a coaching relationship is you are working towards something, a goal, right? And because that's really the foundation of your contract with the client, right? We're contracting together, whether it's a written contract or an oral contract. The reason you're coming together is because you're here and we want to get you from point A to point B. Okay. So point B is what we're working on, whether point B is maybe building some emotional management skills or, preparing for an interview for a new job, whatever that may be. And grounding the coaching relationship in that original contract, going back to that and say, this is why we're here. Because there's many things. There's the things that you can talk about on a coaching call are legion, right? Yeah. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be helping the person to achieve the original goal they entered that relationship into. And it's part of coaching in integrity is showing up and making sure you're focused on the client. Now, if the client wants to shift focus, that's okay. Because sometimes the goals can change as you're coaching into it. They're just like, you know what, it's actually more this thing over here. It's like, okay, but now that becomes the goal, and you ground the conversation and each subsequent conversation in that goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
Okay.
Number 2, the second do is challenge them respectfully. Okay, so I'm going to speak to all of the sanguines, all of the melancholics, all of the phlegmatics who are not choleric, who are maybe low in choleric. And when they finally muster up enough, willpower and fortitude to actually challenge a choleric, it might come across as disrespectful. Because you have a lot of voices in your head and you're like, you got to create boundaries and you have to be mean and firm and be the opposite of who you are, you know?
As a coach, you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. I just like the reframe of like just the word challenge over fight with them, you know, like just challenge them and be respectful. You're already a respectful person. Like, but you could just kind of be like, hey, like, and just know this behind using that new word, know that they thrive on challenge and competition. They actually do better.
They want to be challenged. I've even noticed this in myself in like spiritual direction relationships where it's just like, oh my goodness, like, don't just tell me I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, like don't handle me with kid gloves. Like I actually need to hear it.
Really put like I'm here because I want to find where I suck right now
and get over it.
And I want somebody to tell me like in a way that I can't recognize it, and in an encouraging but firm way saying you need, like, it's time to do better here. This needs to be a priority here. You're thinking it's a priority, but guess what? It's not. Like, let's be honest here. So like that firm honesty in those moments. And what I think holds a choleric accountable is just being able to just hold up the results of how they're acting and just be like, okay, but this, but this, right? Do you still want this? Is this sufficient? Is this dry? Like, because you want this, then that's fine. But what are we doing here?
Yeah. And going back to our process that we train people in, we can do that as mindset coaches, because we actually have a process that we train our coaches in to identify the root of their actions and identify their fruits. So when they are challenging you, you could be like, hey, look at what you're creating over here. With this, I'm not even fighting you. You told me, you gave me all of this information. Look at what you're creating. Do you want to keep creating that? Because we've just uncovered what the root of that is. And now we can actually work through that. Yeah. And they can't really argue with that, what they just told you. And they can't argue with the fruits that they're creating and the results that they're getting. And so it's not even you guys arguing with each other. It's saying, hear what you're creating.
Yeah. And then let go of the rope. Yeah. And then let go of the rope. I love that.
Let go of the rope.
It's just like, okay, that you want to fight me on this. That's fine. Like
you must choose.
You can have all this stuff. You can have all these results that you're not happy with. Just keep like, that's fine. You can have it. You can have, but what are we doing here? Like that's kind of
we're wasting time here. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Number 3, emphasize results and progress. Show them measurable progress and how your coaching will lead to tangible outcomes. This kind of has to do with like the big picture thing. You know, they're highly motivated by success and efficiency. Yeah. And I think even just starting coaching calls, like fill me in on your progress over the week. Because they don't pause. They're action based, you know, I don't know. I don't want to like put you in a box, but like you don't pause and be like, how have you progressed over this week? Like, unless somebody's asking them that, like, how have you won over this past week?
Yeah. And I think that's an important part is like you, on those previous sessions, if you're going to be asking that question, you need to establish what winning looks like over the coming week.
That's it.
And so it's just like, okay, this week you're going to do this, this, and this. All right. And then we're going to come back and we're going to see how the experience was. What came up for you in the midst of it? Did you actually do it? Do you still want to do that? Why didn't you do it if you didn't do it?
Yeah. What worked? What didn't work? What would you do differently? I love how you're saying, so at the end of the first call, you have very clear, this is what you got to do. This is what progress looks like. This is what winning looks like. And then next week, I'm going to begin our call and we're going to be talking about these things.
Yeah. Like, and here's the thing, like, I don't see this as like only the cholerics need to have these action items.
Everybody
at the
does, I think.
What are you doing in a coaching relationship? Maybe this is my choleric coming out here, but what are you doing in a coaching relationship if you're not giving the client some sort of homework to do? I mean, even I look at a coaching session as an examination of conscience, right? As an examine is a waste of time if there's no resolution of how you're actually going to go forward and change. And I remember talking to somebody recently and they're like, that word resolution kind of triggers me. It's like, okay, well, fill in a word that's not triggering to you. But there needs to be some sort of change, some metanoia, or what are you doing? It just becomes an indulgent exercise at that point if there's not something that you're committing to after that. And because that commitment is supposed to create a new experience that then in the next session you get to unpack with the coach.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Number 4, do give them autonomy. Avoid micromanaging. We already talked about this. Provide guidance and structure, but allow them the freedom to take control and implement strategies in their own way. And I think that's actually really helpful.
Yeah. Like the how, like somebody tell me the goal, that's helpful. Maybe some cholerics need a little bit more of a how on to get there, because I know that I do learn.
Wait, what do you mean by how?
So cholerics tend to learn by doing. Okay. And so sometimes is giving a little bit of like A-line coaching here, coaching in the action line, saying like, do these things and then come back and we'll unpack the experience of it. That's going to be a way that they learn.
Yeah. Okay. That's really good.
So that can be helpful.
Yes.
But sometimes it's just like, I like being able to figure out my own way.
Yes.
So don't give me the steps. I think that's a good conversation.
I'm going to add something to this because we are mindset coaches and we train our coaches to be mindset coaches. And you can always tell you have a choleric sitting across from you because they go, just tell me what to do. Right? Because they're very action focused, doing. Yep. And I think something that's very helpful for them to kind of reframe for them, if you're a mindset coach, if you're one of our coaches listening, is, okay, but we're asking the wrong question. It's not what are you doing? It's what are you thinking that is at the core of that doing, right? So we actually can be more efficient when we are thinking better thoughts about what we are doing. So even explaining that strategy that's kind of behind the scenes here, I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's appropriate when you're saying, okay, these are the things that you're going to be doing. What's the motivating emotion that you want to be feeling that's going to drive you to do those? What are the thoughts that you're going to be thinking that are going to create that emotion that are going to keep you engaged and driving forward and actually doing the actions that are new? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And then finally, the last do that we have here is stay confident and unshaken. It sounds very lofty and like kind of platitudey. But I do know that confidence comes from your mind, right? Confidence is an emotion that comes from how you are thinking. And being unshaken, I would say, is also kind of in that same boat. But I think confidence comes from your mind. So I do think you need to do your own mindset work. Like, I think you need to come and get coached. If you have never been coached on your mind and you are a coach coaching other clerics, come and get coached on your mind about that. And if you're feeling insecure, but also it's like a dual approach with confidence, because I think competence, like learning a process, actually going through a process and habituating your own brain into that process of coaching, will give you confidence at the end. So it's kind of both.
Yeah. And it's like fall back on the reality that if there is a coaching relationship, the person's there for some reason.
Yes.
Right. And if there is no reason, there's no reason for the relationship.
Yeah.
So, and that's okay too. Like there is, and resting confidence in that.
You could be friends. They don't have
like,
to pay you.
You know what? It's like, hey, you know what? Like you don't necessarily have, if you don't have anything you're working on, then what are we doing here? Like a coach's relationship, because in the nature of coaching relationship, you're going from point A to point B. There's a destination. There's a journey that's involved. And the person is entering that relationship with you because they want to go on that journey. If they don't want to go that journey, that's okay. There's no relationship. There's no coaching relationship that's there even to work with. And so if a client was just like, what are we doing here? I love to go back and be like, You tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going? Why did you say yes to this? Like, what is the original desire? Is that desire still there?
Yeah.
Is it still the destination that we want to go through? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there is no destination that the client wants, there's no foundation for the coaching relationship. I can't stress that enough.
Yes. You can't measure progress. You can't measure success. And that would be actually very triggering to a choleric.
Yes.
Also.
And so even those questions start to reset the ideal conditions for the choleric, which is having clear goals in mind, a clear definition of what success looks like.
Yes. And I do also want to stress, if you are feeling a lack of confidence in your coaching, get trained. Like I am a big fan, and it doesn't have to be our own training, but just get trained. Like have a process that you fall back on, because this is not one of those things that you can fake it till you make it, you know, and your choleric clients will bring that out in you faster than any other temperament out there. You'll be like, wow, I don't know what I'm doing when you're coaching a choleric client. So just take that. And I don't know, maybe come visit us, come hang out with us during this Catholic Coach Masterclass.
Yeah, I'm really stoked for that. Okay, so guys, check that out.
Excited.
Catholic Coach Masterclass. Go ahead into the show notes, sign up, get the replays, even if you can't make it live. I know I was talking to somebody that was on the West Coast. I was like, it's a little bit early. It's like, okay, I get it. Set your alarm early, get some coffee. It's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
You're like at the end of your life, you're going to be, okay, getting up a little bit earlier was worth it for what you got for this week.
It's 5 days.
Do a double espresso.
Yeah.
Okay. And get your butt in there. And if not, you can catch the replays on these things too. And it's not just the replays and the actual time. You're actually going to walk away with the worksheets that we're going to be leading you through that you'll be able to immediately take and bring back to your clients. Bring it to your kids, bring it to the people that you do youth ministry or the people that you form at your parish, people that you're mentoring. And it's really going to be focused on helping them identify their unique identity in Christ and their unique mission.
Amen.
So, fire it up there.
We'll see you guys then.
See you next week. What are we talking? Sanguines next week? Ooh, coaching
Do's
the
and
sanguine
don'ts.
clients. I roll. Sorry. No, I love you guys. All right. See you next week.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for sticking with us in the Catholic Coaching Podcast. If you like what you heard,
Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again.